This is a tutorial to how to set up the Big Blue button for conferences in Canvas. The reason Big Blue button is so helpful is this is a tool built directly into your Canvas shells. It will send your students email notifications in advance of when the conference will be. It allows you to share your screen, share other content, share video, and import other services live, and your students can interact both visually and audio back with you. So this allows for kind of a virtual classroom. This tool has been used by Baker a lot in the past for distance learning. Now, I know we don't do a ton of distance learning these days, but we still have full access to this tool. So in order to use it, the first thing you're going to need to do is go to your Canvas shell. Or in general, make sure you log in. Once you are logged in, select the class that you want to create the conference for. So once you create the once you're in the shell, you're going to need to go down to conferences. You can see here, my conferences has been enabled. In your conference, might not be. It may be down towards the bottom of the list, and you will see an eye with a line through it. And how to enable yours, you would go to settings. Once you're in settings, you will be here. This is what your first page will look like. You will need to go across the top and push navigation. Once you're in navigation, your conferences that has the eye with the line through it will appear below this line. It'll be down here. You'll need to physically grab it by clicking on it and moving it around. You drag it up above the drag items here blurb, so it is in this top region. Mine is here. Now you need to go down to the bottom and push save. If you don't push save, the changes won't stay. So now that you have conferences enabled, you will see it appearing without an eye with a line through it. The next thing you need to do is to go to conferences. Then you would need to push plus conference, and remember that whatever your course is called, it'll be that name plus the word conference. So I recommend dating it, putting whatever today's date is in there. However, I'm going to do this one a little different because every time you create a conference, an email notification goes to your students. So I want my students to know to disregard this because I will delete it after this tutorial video is done. So in general, I would put today's date, whatever it happens to be, just so your students are aware, or rather put the date of the conference. If you're making the conference notification ahead of time for something you want to do next week, put that date in there just so your students aren't confused and don't try to log in today. All right, so the next thing you'll see is the type. Leave it as Big Blue button. Don't change anything here. Now, for the duration, if you think you're going to talk for 60 minutes or less, it's okay to keep this time limit. But if you talk for 60 minutes and 1 second, the program will automatically cut you off. So I like to just push no time limit just in case we run a little long. Now, here's the other thing. If you want to record this, you have to push enable recording now. If you don't, and you decide to record once the conference starts, there will be no option for it. Now, there's a lot of pluses to recording as there's a lot of minuses to recording. Sometimes if you record and make the recordings visible to your students, they won't want to come live. They'll just want to watch it at their own convenience later. If your goal is to have interaction, then I would be very careful on how you offer recordings. However, it doesn't hurt just to hit enable recording just so you know you have the option later. And then I like to enter a little description, like we will cover chapters 1 and 2, or today we're going to go over the logistics of how our class will now operate online, whatever it happens to be. So enter a description here. Now, here's where it gets really, really fun. If you want to make this for a live stream for your whole class, basically what you would then do is push invite all course members. However, let's say you want to do small group instruction, like a little tutoring session. So if you want to do a tutoring session instead, you would uncheck this box, and now all of a sudden the names of your students pop up, and you would only select the students that you want to invite. So again, the invite goes out to only the students that essentially are invited. So this really works well for supplemental tutoring, lab help, whatever it happens to be. So you are now set. You would go ahead and push update. Once you push update, you now show here, this is the conference that you're all set to start. When you want to start it, you just go ahead and push start. So it takes a minute to load. Now you are going to want to load with a microphone. Your students are going to want to go listen only because they're not going to want to talk back. I would let them know ahead of time that they're going to want to push the microphone. They are going to want to be able to interact, and then they can mute if there's a lot of feedback, or you can actually override and mute them. So we'll go ahead and log in. So you see, go ahead, hit allow. It sets you up with an echo test so you can kind of hear yourself. Sometimes it takes a minute to load. You'll probably hear that little bit of feedback with me. So you see here that we are now in the conference. This is what it looks like once you're here. So all of your participants will line up over here, and you can choose to mute them. This is my microphone showing I'm live, and you would just click on that and you could mute the. So now I'm essentially alone here, but you also have the option to share video and share your webcam. You can also poll your students. You can have breakout rooms or small chat. There's all kinds of different things you can do here. You can use a whiteboard. So there's lots of different options. Now, here's the start recording. This here is something you will only get if you if you enable recording from that first screen. So this is pretty much the how-to of how Big Blue Button works. So you have a lot of options. There's all kinds of different things you can change. So go ahead and play around with it if you'd like. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. All right, so one more thing before we go ahead and end. What I want to do is show you how to basically get out of the Big Blue Button. So you could essentially just exit out. You could just exit out, or you can end the meeting. So we've ended the meeting, but if you notice, even though we've ended the meeting, it shows that it's still in progress. All of your conferences will continually be in progress until you manually go over and push end. You have to push end and then push OK, and then the conference will be over. It will go from the new conferences down to the concluded area, and then it can take up to 2 hours, but then a link will appear below it if you make recording enabled. So if recording is enabled and you do choose to record, about 2 hours later, a link will appear down here. Your students can click and watch at their convenience. All right, that's it. If anybody has any questions, please email me. Have a great night.